Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the Cold Fusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community. Welcome to the Modernize or Die CFML News Edition podcast, January 7th, 2020.
I'm Gavin Pickin, and to my left
Where are
is
you?
Brad Wood. What?
You stole my seat, Brad. What the heck?
you got up to get snacks, man, and I nabbed it. You snooze, you lose.
Too funny. So Happy New Year, everybody. We're back another year.
Are we back in black? Oh, I think I already made that joke. Dang it. I hate it when I recycle my own jokes.
Yeah, I'm wearing blue, so sorry about that.
I'm wearing a Mura shirt, so much for this being an Ordis podcast.
All good.
You know, you give me a free shirt at a conference, I wear it. I'm a simple guy.
You know what? And to be honest, the shirts are getting better. Like the stuff we're getting from them are much better quality, and they're actually really comfortable. And you know, my favorite shirt,
the soft, stretchy ones. Yeah,
the Hacktoberfest shirts are so comfortable. The new one and the old one, I love those shirts. I'm wearing them with pride because they're really top quality shirts. So
wearing it with pride.
Yeah, well, I earned that. My full pull request.
Nice. So we haven't had a podcast since like last year, or did we do one?
Yeah, last year. It's been a while.
Holy cow, man! I haven't done it since 2019.
No, well, had a new digit up there. 2020. It's so weird right now, but luckily, everything keeps moving. Although, wait, before I get into it, I guess the first news item should be, you remember how Y2K was like an awesome, huge blow up, letdown?
Oh, yeah.
So I guess 2020 was a big blow up because everybody in 1999 said, hey, if it's year 0 to 19, just assume it's 2019 or 2010. And so 2020 came up and everything went back. And it screwed them up.
I hadn't read any of that. That's hilarious.
Apparently, it was messed up a whole bunch of video game servers, like online streaming servers and stuff. So 2020 actually hurt way more than Y2K.
That's
everybody
the one that nobody looked out for.
Yeah, because they just put in this 20-year little hot fix, and forgot
and
about
they
it.
think there's no way my code will be around in 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Y2K was so big. I wrote a song about it, and I played it in the talent show at college. Called the Y2K song. It was a big hit at the time. Everybody loved it. But of course, the day after Y2K, when nothing happened, it was like, whatever.
Yeah, but that's funny. Yeah, Y2K was huge.
I should remix that and put that out on like SoundCloud and make like a 2020 edition of my Y2K song.
Yeah, so
it was like Ray Stevens meets I don't even know what.
I just think it's hilarious that, it was one of those things where it's like, oh, that code would be running in 20 years. Yes, it is.
That's what you thought. You know, one of my favorite quotes is something like, the problem with quick and dirty is the dirty remains long after the quick has been forgotten.
Yeah. I should probably get that on a t-shirt. My old boss, me and Ismay used to work together, and that was his catchphrase. Oh, just need something quick and dirty. Quick and dirty.
Quick and dirty.
Quick and dirty.
There's never a joke hiding in there somewhere, but I'm gonna leave it.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, so news and events since the start of the year. There hasn't been a whole lot of news, but we'll go over some quickly. So Vicky's been posting more videos to YouTube from CF Summit 2019 in Las Vegas. So I now joined the elite group, so my video's up there, and so is George Murphy's. So far I see about 16 sessions, I guess, up there on the playlist, and we have links to the blog post about it, including Facebook and YouTube links, and then all the slides as well. So if you're watching the sessions, the slides are all available on coldfusion.adobe.com. But I went there today and there were some issues with their API by the look of it, and nothing is loading, nothing is searching.
Wah, wah. Sad trombone.
So yeah, by the time you listen to this later, you should be able to get to it. So, so all those sessions are up, and I actually want to go through a few more of the ones that I did miss and watch some of them. So it's going to be pretty cool. Yep.
Pretty cool, you say? As cool as Y2K.
Oh, cooler. Y2K, yeah, it was funny because just a side note back to that again since you mentioned it. So I was downtown at a big party. We had a huge park downtown Auckland, and so it was a huge
Auckland.
outdoor concert, probably like 60, 80,000 people in this park or whatever. And of course, the first thing that happens, what does everybody do at midnight? They say Happy New Year and kiss somebody for good luck or whatever, and then they call people. And so they picked up their phones and called, but guess what happened? The cell service is not available right now because everybody was calling the exact same time, and they slammed the networks.
Y2K.
Exactly. So the biggest Y2 bug that I faced was overload because people trying to call everybody from the one location. The cell towers couldn't handle it. So
that's pretty funny.
But anyway, so talking about next decade, so 2020. We actually have Rick Sheaf doing a webinar this month. That's next week. I believe next Friday, the 16th, is it? No, it's Thursday. So next Thursday, the 16th, Rick Sheaf is going to do a presentation all about the buzzworthy Cold Fusion 2020. So
now that it's officially 2020, is it fair to start asking Adobe, like, so when's it going to release? I mean, it's 2020. Come on.
Yeah.
It's taking so long.
Yeah, exactly. We can try. I think with 2018, it was released in August, 2 months before CF Summit or something like that. It was right before CF Summit. And we thought they were going to make the big announcement at CF Summit, but they did it right before it. So I'll be surprised if it's much earlier in the middle of the year, but I don't know, considering that you still haven't been invited to the early
the
beta
pre-release.
Yeah,
they don't want me in there probably. That dude complains all the time.
I know.
That dude's like, "Excuse me, in Lucy, this works."
Yeah. So, but yeah, so it sounds like you should have a good webinar there talking about, how they're going to go forward, moving on, the vision for 2020. And like I said, I'm really curious how they're going to, look at the cloud stuff because they keep talking about not getting locked into a particular cloud vendor. So I wonder if that means they're going to, create tools that you can just choose your provider and you don't have to worry about if it's S3 or, Google Cloud or whatnot. You just choose a provider and then it'll figure it out behind the scenes.
I'm curious about that as well. I mean, it's hard to tell exactly what the cloud strategy is from Adobe. Because a lot of times they sort of talk about it in very broad strokes. If they can just support like basic things like Docker, Docker images, you can like stick that almost anywhere. The issue with any like super specific integrations you do with like one provider is always that, in like 2 or 3 years, they're on like, version 7 of their API, stuff changes. So I'm a little leery of anything being baked into the core engine as far as being super specific to a provider. But, making the runtime small, making it easy to deploy, making the license friendly, making Docker containers, which are kind of a standard thing that you can stick anywhere, AWS, DigitalOcean, whatever. I think that's the best approach. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what they have in mind.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm curious for sure to see what they're going to do there. But I guess we'll see. So next Thursday, I just posted a link in the chat for you guys.
What would be ideal is if they just drop their Docker images and tell everybody just go use the Ortus ones. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm sure that's not going to fly. But
the Adobe. I was looking at the stats this week from. Oh, you didn't include this tweet, did you?
Yes, I did, but you can still talk about it.
No, I was kind of comparing the Ortus Docker images, which of course being part of Team Ortus, I'm always partial to those. So the State of the CF Union survey, which is about time to be working on that again for this year. From last year, I was looking through the numbers of who uses Docker, and do they use the Lucy image? Do they use the Adobe image? Do they have a custom image? Do they run Adobe on command box image? Do they run Lucy on command box image? And it was really kind of interesting looking at at just the differences. I was surprised by how many people run a custom image, like 30% of people using Docker at a custom image. Now, what I'm curious is if that means they extended the official Lucy image or the Ortus image and then just built their own on top of it, which, everybody customizes their images. But anyway, I can talk more about those stats when we get to my tweet. But
I'm not sure. the more you talk about it, I wonder if it was a different tweet, because I know you're talking about command box, but maybe it was.
I was just talking about the. My tweet that I was thinking of was the one regarding the percentages of people using command box for local dev and for Docker.
Okay, yeah, that's what I did tweet.
Right, cool, yeah.
Cool. So, as I said, there's not a whole lot of news, but we have one more thing. So, Michael Bourne and myself were talking this morning, and we're talking about the coding challenge that we'll discuss later in this show. But we have an idea for some more live coding. So, if you guys liked Michael's his stuff on Twitch, he did a little survey of his followers and found out that 100% of the people said they'd rather use YouTube.
100%. Was there only one viewer?
No, there was more than that. It was at least double digits.
But I've never used Twitch. I'm familiar with it. I've never done anything with it.
Yeah, so I mean, he wasn't for or against it, and he just wanted to see what people wanted. But more people have YouTube accounts, so they can get in and comment and stuff. You have to sign up to Twitch.
Can you view a Twitch stream without an account, but you just can't comment?
Exactly, you have to sign up.
Because YouTube's
comment.
The same way. You can't comment unless you're logged in, but that's kind of a common denominator. And of course, since Google, owns YouTube, it's almost anybody has a Gmail. I saw an interesting video on YouTube actually just last night, and it was like the top 10 sites on the internet starting in like 1996. It was one of those like animations that shows the bar graphs that shrink and grow over time.
Yep.
When it started out in AOL, it was just like boom forever. And the next closest was like Yahoo or something, and eventually like Yahoo grows and AOL shrinks. And then eventually you see Google come on and like all the way out. And I was trying to figure out what year Google had bought YouTube, because YouTube kind of hangs out in the bottom of the graph and starts getting bigger and bigger, and then it really starts blowing up. I figured that's probably about the time that Google started dumping money into them as well.
Yeah, I remember working on some stuff back in 2005, 2006, where YouTube wasn't very big at all. But I think it must have been about 2007, 2008 it took off, because a lot of the those funny sites were out there. I had a couple of customers that actually had just tons and tons of video content.
Remember like eBaum's World? That's where you had to go to get like memes and videos back before YouTube.
Yeah, and that's the type of stuff. I actually had a guy he was in North Carolina that we worked with, and he had a huge site, and we had like a whole array of servers just for his video content, because the bandwidth they used was ridiculous. And so he had like rack space servers for all the good Cold Fusion stuff, and then we had a whole bunch of cheaper Linux servers with decent bandwidth, but we had all this multitasking to like route them to different video servers, so we didn't like max out the bandwidth usage and stuff.
Nice.
I mean, it was pretty crazy.
Kind of like Napster, the glory days of YouTube was back before the copyright lawyers got involved, and it just had like full episodes of like everything you can imagine. And then when the lawyers got involved, that all went away pretty quick.
Yeah, now everyone just watches everybody else play video games on it. So they just
and you watch like 17 ads per video. Good times.
Yeah,
we should put ads in the middle of our podcast. Except we could do it like Ben Shapiro, where we just work it right in. We'd be like, talking about your impending doom, let's talk about your life insurance. And we just like just inject it right in.
Well, that's kind of what we do anyway. We kind of talk about our conferences and our trainings and everything. So a lot of this is just a straight up advertisement for ourselves. But I guess we could throw on some other stuff.
Supposed to admit that, Gavin. They come for the friendly banter and the devilishly handsome good looks. Come on.
Yeah. But anyway, so me and Michael will be starting this new live coding series, and we're going to sort of try and do it pair programming style live on YouTube. But what we're going to do is actually going to build a ForgeBox package to help you to let you participate in the monthly code challenge. So
so you guys doing your live streams like simultaneously?
Well, what we're thinking is we'll just do it similar to what we're doing here. We're going to use VS Code's code share.
You'll be at the same virtual desk.
The same virtual desk, using YouTube to stream it, but we'll use Zoom to talk to each other while we're doing it. And then we can,
That's
basically stream
cool.
out. And that way, one of us can talk more while the other one types, because it's really hard to type and talk meaningful about what you're doing. So we thought it might actually improve it.
Your voice trails off, and you're like, "I'm sorry, what was I saying?"
Yeah, especially when you're like messing something up. But one person can look up something while the other person's doing it. But anyway, the whole idea is that we want to build this little module that you can basically go, install it from ForgeBox and run it, and then you can do the code challenge inside of it. And so I'll tell you a little more as we get to the coding challenge and what my idea is. But so we're going to try and do that. But yeah, so we're aiming for Wednesdays at 7 p.m. starting on
Eastern.
Yeah, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific. And we're probably going to start like January the 15th, which is next Wednesday. So we thought we'd try and do that. That was Michael's normal schedule. So I'm just sort of going to take over and harass him and join his live stream. But we thought it'd be fun. So we'll find out more about what we're building a little later on.
Sounds like something I can get behind.
Yeah, sounds cool.
All right, conferences.
Yep. So Into the Box 2020, the big announcement there is that we have our super early bird tickets are now available. So if you guys are crazy enough and loyal enough to buy your tickets without knowing what workshops and what speakers are going to be there, you can get $200 off our All Access Pass. And then obviously you can select your workshop once the schedule is posted.
It's all going to be good. You know it.
Yep. See, Brad can talk about anything. You can pay him just to speak all day. It might be that way, actually.
YouTube. Watch me.
So, yeah.
All right, and our call for speakers is still open, right?
Yep, we have about one more week, I believe, left on that, too. So if you guys haven't submitted them, please do. We don't want to miss out on all this great content. So, yeah, papercoal.io/ITB2020. And then, yeah. Are you posting the link? Is it actually showing up?
I don't know. Do you see it? I'm logging as myself today.
I'm refreshing it to see, just to make sure. Nope, I don't see your post.
So I might have gotten moderated.
Yep, Brad's moderated. He's not allowed to post. I guess I'll.
YouTube doesn't like it when you put a bunch of links in the chat. They think you're a spam bot.
Yeah, but you see my link. I guess I'm posting links today.
Yeah, I see your link. Yeah, I think YouTube is calling me spam.
Yeah, probably. So the workshops are not decided yet, Adrian. We're going to finalize that. And we actually had a couple of community members mention that they'd like to do workshops. And so usually we have, 3 or 4 of them from Audis, and then we like to have a couple options. I know that the Preside guys did one year, and Pete has obviously done a couple of his security workshops there too. So right now we're still deciding, and we should have that summed up pretty soon. But there'll probably be like an API one. There'll probably be a command box or a Docker one or something like that. But yeah, if you guys want anything, tell us in the chat what you guys want to go to, and then we'll put it in our discussion. But we're hoping to decide that pretty soon. And like I said, the call for speakers should be done the end of next week or middle of next week. I said January 15th, so you got about a week. So submit your entries, and remember, if you're a speaker, we do cover your entry to the conference, and you get to share a shared hotel room as well. So that's one of the perks of being that. We don't cover your travel, sorry, but if you wanted to speak, submit it, and we'll make our decision shortly. We'll hope to get that schedule out by the end of the month at the latest, so everybody can get everything booked. But it's going to be great. So
it's going to be great. What's our theme is Back to the Future this year, right?
Back to the Future. Yep. We have a pretty cool design on the webpage. If you go to intothebox.org,
we got the DeLorean. DeLoreans aren't trademarked, are they?
I don't know, but
I guess we're not actually using the phrase Back to the Future anywhere on our site.
Nope.
We just happen to have a DeLorean picture that just happens to have fire trails behind his tires. Yeah. Total coincidence. No relation to any movie rights owned by any particular company.
Yep. But I heard Luis making some sneaky plans around the conference, so I'm curious what he's going to do.
Oh.
So I don't know if you know or not, and if I'm allowed to say or not. So I'm just going to have to say we'll have to announce it later. So
I'll have to announce it later.
I have to check
David,
with the boss man.
Livin wants a Happy Box workshop.
Well, we get it. Your own Happy Box session. It's not an all-day event, but it's an all-night event. So get some tacos, snacks, and a few drinks, and mariachi. That's always a lot of fun. And Adrian says you can't trademark physics.
Can't trademark physics. I don't know if I'd call it physics, but sure.
So yeah. So again, that's Into the Box is in May 6th to the 8th, 2020 in Texas. It'll be in the Woodlands, right outside of Houston. And if you guys want to see what we had last year, the 2019 videos are available for sale. There's a package on Vimeo you can get as well. But there's other great conferences around. These are the ones we know the dates of. So Brad's favorite DevNexus in Atlanta.
Yep, Luis and I already signed up.
So February 19th to 21st. So if you guys are there, reach out to us, and maybe you guys can hang out with Brad and Luis. And
we always run into old Cold Fusion guys there, but we rarely run into people still doing Cold Fusion. So,
well, hopefully some fresh blood can get there. I mean, there's a lot of great content there, right? I mean,
oh yeah, I mean, Luis and I go just to keep tabs on just the entire Java ecosystem, which we live inside of. There's all sorts of tooling. We want to see what the package managers are doing. We want to see what the cloud offerings are doing. They've got all sorts of cool stuff. And it's not just a Java conference. They have all kinds of, generic stuff. They have like 13 tracks or something at DevNexus. So
13, that's crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, while the focus is Java, there's all kinds of good stuff there, just kind of keeping up with what's going on. And of course, we do Java development at Ortus to a degree for our Lucy extensions and things. So
yeah, and it's pretty cool too. I know you said you saw some of the other languages and some of the other frameworks and how they do things. You're like, oh, it's way easier in Cold Fusion.
Yeah, I went to like what was it? It was
did you say Groovy or something?
No, it wasn't Spring Boot. It was Scala. It was the Play framework. Went to some session on the Play framework or something, and I'm sitting there thinking like, oh man, ColdBox does this way better. You guys are killing me. They had to like manually declare like every single route. I'm like, come on, guys, conventions. We're kicking your butt over here. But the sad thing is everybody at the conference is all Java developers, and they're like, oh, this looks amazing. I'm like, come on, people. CFML.
Yeah.
It's always fun.
Cool. Well, ViewConf is going to be in Austin Convention Center, March 2nd through 4th. So Austin is a pretty happening place this year, it seems, because not only we have ViewConf, which is for Vue.js lovers out there, DockerCon 2020 is going to be there in June as well. So
a lot going on.
Yep, I might have to get my frequent flyer miles topped up and make a few trips to Austin this year.
Sam Knowlton's couch is free for anyone who just wants to come in. Don't even knock, just let yourself in. So the rumor I'm starting.
Yep. Sounds pretty good. So
he's going to pull his Patreon support. I better stop.
But yeah, so a lot of good stuff there. So next we have blogs, tweets, and videos of the week. So you want to tell us about this first one here?
I don't know. I haven't read through the notes yet. We have one from Pete Freitag. Searching for files by name on Mac or Linux. Interesting.
Yep. So he's got
a bash tip here.
Yeah, it's got a bunch of different ones because obviously they work on the Mac as well as Linux. But he's talking about using find and grep and stuff like that. So just little hints and tips. But I like Pete's stuff. He breaks it down, make it real simple.
Yeah, I can never remember the syntax for find. Whenever I jump onto a Linux box and I'm trying to think like, oh, where do I have that one, config file stored? And I can never remember. I have to Google it. Yep. This is a nice little reference. Now I do love grep all the time. Of course, command box has its own grep equivalent, which is nice. That's not Sam.
Yep. So Sam said, as long as you don't mind a baby throwing blueberries at you, our couch will hold 2 to 3 programmers. It's a big couch.
So is Sam the one throwing the blueberries? Oh my. Well, this is good. Yeah, I like these little bash things. So yeah, there's nothing really Cold Fusion about Peach Post. Just a nice little bash trick.
Yep. And so Ben Nadell's been busy as usual. He's got quite a few blogs this week, but the first one is 2.3 programmers, not 2 or 3 programmers. Sorry, Sam. I was thinking that's a big couch.
Well, Gavin counts for 1.5, so
yep.
It adds up some way or another.
So one of Ben's blogs this week was snapshotting Cold Fusion component state in order to find memory leaks. So he was listening to our podcast, and you were talking about,
as he should.
Yeah, talk about the Singleton
Singleton leak detector.
Leak detector. Sorry, and for a minute there, I lost my brain. But so obviously that's built for ColdBox, and so he decided to look at what you were doing, and he said you built a very elegant solution, and so he wanted to.
Thanks.
So you wanted to try that with some old Cold Fusion apps that have no framework, let alone ColdBox. So
you know what the takeaway is from this, Gavin?
Use ColdBox.
Yeah. The takeaway is if he was using ColdBox, it would have been install singleton leak detector. Enter.
Yeah.
But I know Ben. He likes to do stuff just for the fun of learning it. So
yep,
it's always valid use case. That's pretty cool though.
Yeah, so he shows him working through this old app, and
yeah, because he had popped up on Twitter, and I'd sent him some links to where all the code was for the singleton leak detector module, and kind of what it did, and I think just reverse engineered it all. That's pretty sweet.
Yep. And then since the start of the year, we have a TerraTech blog post about 3 steps to establish a reliable recovery plan for your next ColdFusion project. And the catchphrase I read on Twitter was, backups and recovery plans are the fire extinguishers of the tech world. If you need one, you better hope it works. I was like, that is so true. I know we've probably all dealt with that, but I always, at the start of the year, I always think, I should probably make more backups or do this or do that. And
yeah, like, nobody tests disaster recovery until they need it.
Yeah, I used to test stuff, but when I needed it, my tape backups on my old server like 10 years ago did not work.
Oh my gosh! You need the chaos monkey to come in and just randomly take down servers so you can see if it works. Yep. What company was it that had the chaos monkey? Was that
Netflix?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, 'cause they would like test their backup infrastructure on a regular basis. They had this
not
server
even backup, just the general stuff.
Just failover, failover stuff. They would just randomly kill services just to prove that the failover stuff would kick in automatically.
And then your stream would be smart enough to pick up a new server and continue watching your inappropriate show for work time. So Breaking Bad in the middle of the workday. But yeah, so that was an interesting post, and just one of those things. The start of the year, you probably want to look at, rethink if you're planning goals and all that stuff. Make a recovery plan, and check your fire extinguishers work. We checked our smoke alarm yesterday; they work. Somebody's cooking bacon. Just glad they're not going off in the middle of the podcast.
We have some more from Ben here. Depth first versus breadth first tree traversal using the while loop in Lucy. CFML 5.3.3.60. That's just like a big old mouthful.
Well, he actually had 2 or 3. So what he was doing was he was doing a recursive function, and he decided to replace the depth first recursion with a breadth first while loop. And then someone talked to him about depth versus breadth first. And so he has 2 or 3 blog posts about the different ones here. So he had one about replacing the recursion with the while loop, because he's like, sometimes recursion just hurts my brain. So if I do a while loop, it's easy to, see it, and, you can dump it out and whatnot. So I like these blog posts because, sometimes you're just fighting something and the recursion's hard to debug sometimes. So
I was poking at Ben on Twitter because I think recursion's way easier than he was making it out to be. And I swear, like, what he came up with is probably twice as hard as recursion.
Maybe.
Again, Ben's the kind of guy that'll do stuff just to learn, which I can totally respect. But I love recursion. I don't know. I think it's so simple and so elegant.
It is
simple, elegant stuff.
But if something breaks in it, debugging it can be tough. And that's what he was trying to get at.
Might be. I think the problem, which is what Ben was talking about, is just visualizing, because it's way easier to read through procedural code and just kind of imagine in your head, because you have one kind of context, one set of variables, and you have a loop and things are mutating, and it's kind of straightforward. But when you deal with recursion, you have a function that calls itself n number of times, and the same variable exists in like multiple universes, if you will, and you have to imagine, like, okay, I process my siblings, and then I call myself to process my children, and that calls itself to process its children. So it can be harder to wrap your brain around. But my advice to Ben on Twitter was, my personal trick for thinking through recursion is to not try to think of all the child calls and you call yourself, but just boil it down to, what do you do at one level, and then that's all you think about. And when you call yourself again for to process your children or parents or whatever it is you're doing, don't think about those. But anyway, it's definitely an interesting problem domain. I really like recursion for any kind of nested data structures that you don't know how many children levels there are.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You just want to I mean, like you say, just having to think about a while loop within a while loop within a while loop. I mean, like if you got a big browser, a big window, you could get with all the tabbing in, but it's pretty crazy when you got that much code too. Like, at least break them out into functions. Like, if you're going to do that, so it's not recursion necessarily, but you can have functions to break it up, make it more readable. But these are really good blog posts, though. I mean, if you guys do get a chance to go read through them and follow the logic, and it might help you with some of your debugging too. So definitely worth the read.
Yeah, I like this. You have some cool like output that shows basically the order that it processes in, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. So Ben, I like Ben's debugging. I learn a lot from
It'd be interesting to create like a visualizer that showed that. One of the coolest things I saw in college was a visualizer that would implement different sort algorithms, and it would like visualize like bar graphs of different lengths that were being sorted, and you could visually see them being put in the right place as the algorithm processed them. It'd be interesting to see if you could do something similar that dealt with, recursive or iteratively, processing a deep data structure and somehow like visualize the order it was happening in. I don't know, just a thought. I love visualizations that help you like think about what's going on with a complex data structure.
Yeah.
There were some really cool examples I saw of streams when Luis was working on the CB Streams project, where some people had made some really cool visualizations that showed like circles going through little pipelines that represented the different closures that were processing items. I like that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely like anything that can help me understand it better. I need the help.
John Farrar just asked in the chat, will you guys take speaker submissions with double speaker sessions? Do you mean one speaker doing 2 sessions, or do you mean 2 speakers doing 1 session?
I think it's the latter.
I don't see why we wouldn't.
Yeah, just make a note in there if you're submitting it, John, that you'd like to have a additional speaker to help and who it is and why.
Wait a minute. Is the additional speaker one of those little like dummies that like, your hand goes in and it's like you talk to yourself like, today we're doing recursion. That's right, Bob. I'm going to gargle this glass of water while you solve this coding problem. Because that would be awesome.
I was going to say that would be an interesting session. You might
we'd accept that in a heartbeat.
Yep, for sure. 2 doing 1. Yeah. So.
All right. Yeah, just make a note of what you have planned. I don't see why we wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I'm sure
we've done tag team sessions before. I did a tag team session with Javi last year on ForgeBox Enterprise.
Yep, it's actually a really good way to get a new speaker into it too. Like give them a taste of the presenting without all the pressure and everything. So yeah, just let us know, John. We'll look at all the options. So here's this tweet from this guy Brad Wood, the command box usage in last year's State of the Union survey. So you want to go into a little more detail here, or?
Oh yeah, I know that the last State of the CF Union survey results had came out several months ago, but I was just I was looking at some different stats of command box usage, and it had kind of what had kind of gotten me started was one of the Fusion Reactor engineers that sent me some statistics that they kind of just track internally of all the different server installations that Fusion Reactor is running on. And they had mentioned that Command Box was like the 3rd most used server platform, according to their statistics, that their Fusion Reactor customers are using, which is kind of cool. And so I was digging through a couple of the graphs, and so there was 2 of the graphs or questions on the State of a CF Union survey from last year that I assume will be on again this year. And one was, what do you do for local development? And so options were, a handmade VM of some kind, a local installation of Cold Fusion, a shared development environment, Command Box, Docker, or Vagrant. And so out of the respondents, there was 440 respondents to that question, I think. What was it? 20% listed Command Box as what they use for local development, which was pretty cool. So that was like 1 in 5 respondents to the survey. You always have to have a little asterisk. Out of the subset of people who responded to the survey, 1 out of 5 said they were using Command Box for local development, which I thought was pretty sweet. Also, let me go to the next question, and I'll go back and I'll talk about how I think it's even a little bit higher in the previous one. One of the other questions was, we were talking about the Docker images, because Lucy has official Docker images that the Damien guys, or Damon, saying it wrong, guys do. Adobe has the official Docker images, and then Ortus has their Docker images. So like 30% of people they say they made a custom image, though I'm not sure exactly what that means. There was a smaller number of people that replied to this question. So out of 129 people that said they were doing Docker of some sort, 14% used the official Adobe images, compared to about 8.5% said they were using Adobe ColdFusion on top of the Ortus command box image. There were 25% of the people said they were using the official Lucy images, and right under that, 23 plus change percent of people were using Lucy on top of the Ortus command box image. So it's kind of interesting to see the breakdown. The Ortus image is almost as popular as the official Lucy image, only about half as popular as the Adobe image. I think there's a lot of people that are just going to use the Adobe one, probably regardless of, we could ship like free puppies with the Ortus one. I think some people are going to use the Adobe one. Yeah. But the takeaway is, if you add the two things up, the number of people using command box either for Adobe or Lucy, you get like almost 32%. So basically 1 in 3 people using Docker are using the command box based images, which is actually pretty cool, because that's, I believe the question was specifically production Docker deployments. And so I'm curious in how many of the 30% of people who said they use a custom image, how many of them are actually using one of the other images and then just extending it and making their customizations. And so taking that survey question with the previous one, 12.7% of people said they were using Docker for local development. If you assume the same breakdown of Docker, then in theory, a third of that 12% is probably using command box Docker images for local development as well.
So
which is how
24% then, so that's much higher.
Well, I guess the original percentage was actually 17. I guessed about an additional 3% that are using command box inside of Docker. Anyway, gotcha. I mean, these are all sort of funny numbers, because out of the thousands and thousands of ColdFusion developers, we just get like a small percentage of people that come and fill out the survey. But it's still fun just to see the numbers. John Clausen and I were actually looking at the Docker Hub download statistics, and the command box Docker image is like 240,000 polls so far, and it was only at 30,000 at one of the recent Into the Boxes. And so the official Lucy images actually only have like, oh crap, what is it again? Let me look at my conversation I'd had, because I don't want to misquote it. They had significantly less polls than the command box one, which is, Lucy has 103,000 polls on their official Docker image. And the, here it is. I found the message Jenna sent me. Yeah, so Into the Box 2018. So basically 2 years ago, the Ortus command box images only had 30,000 polls, and now we're well over 200,000 polls. So now, unfortunately, I can't find any numbers on Adobe's polls, because they don't host theirs on Docker Hub. They have it on the JFrog bin tray, like artifact repository. And JFrog has like tons and tons of statistics, like polls by day, by you name it, but they're all disabled for the Adobe repository. So there's no way to tell how many polls on their images they have, because that's probably a slightly more realistic number than just the people who come and respond to the survey. But it's really fun to kind of see the trends in some of these things over time. Overall, I'm surprised at how much Docker is picked up in the ColdFusion community, but I think that's a really good thing. I think that shows a lot of push towards modernization.
Exactly. I think so too. And Sam actually said that he doesn't remember what they replied to, but he thinks they said custom, and even though they're based on Ortuses, so you might be right with that too, that a lot of the customs are building on top of, one of the above. So, and then John Ferrara wanted to know, where's the animated graphic to help us understand and follow your stats, Brad? So that's your goal for Into the Box, to have all these things animated and just pretty.
Animated. See, we don't have the data for it. That would be awesome to make a video that was like, popularity of deployment methods over time. The problem is just getting statistics.
Need to do some stuff with the State of the Union.
On that note, so if you go to Docker Hub and you look at any Docker image, like the Ortus command box image, Lucy official image, whatever, it'll just tell you like 100 or 200,000 plus. No. Once you get past 100,000, it just shows 100,000 plus until you make it all the way to like 1 million, which really is like sucks. But John and I found an API endpoint you could hit that would give you like the actual number. And I told John, but it only tells you the current number, right? JFrog actually has like way better statistics. It's too bad Adobe has them all turned off. I told John we need to set up some kind of like scheduled task that like once a day we'll just go hit that endpoint from Docker Hub, pull the the current number and just throw it in a database or something. So we can actually like graph over time.
Does it graph by tags too? Is there any way to find that out?
I don't want to say no because I just barely glanced at the API. The number that I found was just a generic overall all-time download count for the entire thing, which I assume was all tags.
Because I'm curious too, like out of that 200,000, it'd be kind of nice to say, oh, how many are we having for the Lucy tag, Lucy 5,
Yeah, I don't know Adobe. If they track that.
Just curious, but
since they don't really have much reporting that I can find in Docker Hub, it'd be interesting to write something of ours that we stick out there in Jenkins or wherever, and just like ping that number every day and stick it in, so we can actually try to like see what the deltas are. I like data.
Yeah, me too.
Input is my number 6 on Strength Finders. Remember I asked Ben if he had done Strength Finders?
Yep.
Input is my number 6, and that means you like data, statistics, numbers. You like to compile all that stuff and crunch it and get value out of it. I love that.
Cool. Okay.
Okay, well, enough about that and my weird obsessions with statistics that involve command box.
Yeah. And so Ben also tweeted about writing individual files to zip virtual file systems. And he was saying how it's way slower to add file by file instead of just zipping up a whole directory of files.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with it, I think this may be a Lucy only feature. I'm not sure. In Lucy, at least, because I know I do it in command box, you can use file read and file write functions directly on a zip file, and you can reference files inside of the zip file. And so the syntax is, path to myarchive.zip ! And then a relative path inside of the zip to the file you want. So for instance, I use this in command box to read the box.json file out of a package zip without having to actually unpack it into a temp folder. You can just do cool. File read, path to archive.zip ! Box.json. And it's a really handy little trick to prevent you from the work of having to unzip it. But yeah, so what Ben was saying is that little trick, while handy, was quite a bit slower than just manually unzipping the zip file into a temp directory and then operating on it and rezipping it, which was kind of interesting. I'm not sure if Lucy actually implemented that or if they're just relying on some underlying, Apache library that just does that out of the box. I'm half tempted to say that's just like an Apache library or something Lucy uses that makes that possible, but I've never looked at the code.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you work with zips that much, but I guess it makes sense.
Yep. John Farrar wants to know my top strengths. Communication, activator, input, relator, analytical, more or less. There you go, John. Anyone who's never done Strength Finders is like, what does that mean?
Yeah, I know. It's still on my to-do list. But, so Ben had another blog post that's about struct iteration methods like each, map, and filter, and how they, how they deal with null values in Lucy. And so he was looking at some reflection style code and recursing through a structure of data, and this is the one that started it all. He wanted to, see how
started it all.
Yeah, how
it's always like that, isn't it? You're looking at one thing, and then you get sidetracked and everything, and you're like, wait a minute. And you're like, wait, is that a bug? And you're down in that rabbit hole.
Yeah, so he basically went through and, wanted to look at each, map, filter, every, reduce, etc. in Lucy and see how it handled null values.
So was he doing this with full null support turned on or off?
Off, I believed. But I'm not sure.
Because I know that null support does change the behavior of some things. For instance, a struct value that's null, is undefined, typically, unless you have full null support, in which case null is a valid value.
Yeah, so that one it was showing is null, so I don't know if he had null support on or not. But he has all the code there, so we have to run it and see.
Yeah, and he mentions this null value function. If you're an Adobe ColdFusion person, you might be scratching your head at this null value function. That's actually a Lucy specific function that's crazy handy if you want to just create a null value. You can do it by just creating a UDF that returns nothing and just calling it. Yeah. But null value is just a little nice built-in function Lucy has that just returns null. And so that's what Ben's using in this test. But you won't find it in Adobe ColdFusion.
I thought he just written a function called, no value.
Nope, that's actually a built-in.
Yeah.
Cool. It's nice. Ooh, and he's using arrow functions. Be still my beating heart.
Yep, we're converting him. Modernize or die, right, Ben?
Well, see, Ben jumped back in the CFML bandwagon, but he's all in Lucy now. So he's using the echo function, right? If you're an Adobe ColdFusion user, what the heck is echo? It's the same as write output. It's just less typing. Thank you.
Yeah, lots of little things like that. So yeah, so that was a good one. It was a shorter blog post, but still good to see.
This is incredibly short for Ben. I mean, like, did he like forget what he was doing and hit submit too soon?
Usually, he did write 3 follow-up posts to it.
You're right. He was saving up for the follow-up. I can get on board with that.
Yep. So Paul Harstick had a tweet as well saying 2020 is off to a good start. Did my very first production build using Bitbucket pipelines and Git. Soon I'll have to throw in some test box tests from Auto Solutions. So he's using Bitbucket pipelines and Git to do some production builds and whatever. Pretty cool. So good to see someone out there modernizing their stack.
And not dying.
Yeah. And it's such a Luis thing to say, isn't it? We're all like, is this going to offend somebody? We're like, oh, who cares? Too late. We already trademarked it.
Who cares?
Yeah. But because someone had some feedback for the podcast name, it's like, the Modernize or Die might make people think it's a little too aggressive, or you have to use ColdBox, or And I'm like, well, oh well. It's we're just trying to modernize so everyone keeps.
If the downside is someone uses ColdBox out of fear for their life, I fail to see the problem here.
Yeah.
What are you saying is the problem, man?
Yeah. And then James Moberg had a blog post saying he found a bug with Adobe ColdFusion's add column error. I guess if you're using query new, adding a column with a query add column, if you don't have the 4th parameter, it'll give you an error about the 3rd one being invalid. So it sounds like someone added a parameter and forgot to change the error message. So
good old validation. People don't always test the validation. That's kind of the weird edge cases, that don't always get eyes laid on them.
Yeah. And then another tweet from a different Paul. He says, since I support ColdFusion again, I'm taking a closer look at command box cfconfig from Auto Solutions.
Yeah, this is the guy whose username is sysadmin spelled backwards.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, so he's tasked with migrating this Vagrant stuff to Docker, and he's finding all the tools that we've created useful. So he says, thanks, Brad and the team, for the tools. So
yeah, I've harassed him for a while, I think, about command box on Twitter. I recognize his username.
Yep. And then we have another blog post from Michael Bourne, 5 things he'd like to learn in 2020. So why
not 20 things? Come on.
But the 5 things he listed, there was a couple there. I was like, really? Why? So I went and read the blog post. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Because he was talking about learning Ant and Maven. I'm like, why would you want to learn Ant? But I guess, one of his reasons was that Ant and Maven, a lot of stuff with Lucy is, using that in the build tools and everything. So if he wants to contribute, he's going to have to get that up and running and stuff. And so
you don't need Ant and Maven. You just need command box task runners, baby. Come on.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's a good blog post. Talks about Fusion Reactor and 2, wanting to learn more about Content Box as well, and some other things. So it's a good little blog post, and I wonder what everybody else wants to learn this year. So, anyways, next on our list is our coding challenge of the month. I don't have a cool graphic for it yet, but I'll have to make one up here. So, for January 2020, you guys are going to help me because I love Code Wars. Code Wars is a cool website where they have code katas, little tests, and they've got little tasks. You have like a little background story of what this function needs to do, and then basically you have to implement the function, and then you run some sample tests against it to see if your test passed. Then basically solved it. And once
sounds
you're
a lot
ready,
like the exorcism site.
Yeah, it probably is. And then you can sort of run the tests, and the cool thing is once you've run it, it gets run against a bigger test bank, and make sure that all your tests pass. And then once that's done, then you get to see those solutions. So the cool thing is, once you've done it, the solutions are really unique. A lot of people do one-liners. They use all the object-oriented sort of functional programming style, and they do all these different things that I'd never have thought of. So I always find it interesting. Our JavaScript meetup uses this as like a sort of a warm-up as part of our session.
So are the tests pre-written then?
Yeah, the tests are all pre-written, everything.
Okay. Sounds a lot like Exorcism.
Well, yeah, maybe I need to check out Exorcism. So
I made the CFML track for Exorcism because I'm curious of Code Wars, if you have to rely on them to make it or if you can create it yourself. Because Exorcism is all 100% like community contributed. And so once I got permission to get commit rights to the repo, I basically created all the stuff for the CFML track. But you have an existing set of failing unit tests, a problem, specification, and then you have to write code until all the tests pass. The difference with Exorcism is you get like review from a human who comes and like reviews your code. That was their whole kind of angle on it.
Okay. Well, the Code Wars one is, there's different levels. So when you add a test to it or whatnot, there's different levels for it, and you can earn points. There's leaderboards and all the stuff, and they've got a whole bunch of different languages, but ColdFusion is not there. So our coding challenge for this month doesn't require any code. It requires you to do two things. So one of them is we want you to email info@codewars.com asking them to add CFML ColdFusion to the list of languages on their site. And we need you to CC me, Gavin at ordersolutions.com, so we know that you did it. And then we also want you to tweet basically saying, I love Code Wars, but when will it be adding CFML to ColdFusion to the list of languages? Modernize or die, Order Solutions.
I'm looking on their site. I don't see like a link anywhere that says like, don't see a language you want added, click here or something.
Yep. So I just thought we'll ask everybody to email and tweet and, make a little noise about ColdFusion and see what they've done. I've emailed them about it as well today. So I'm hopefully, told them that we have our own CLI and our own test suite and everything, and that we want to get it added. So I thought if we make a little noise here, maybe you guys can do those steps. I said email them and tweet about it, and then see if that makes a difference. See if we can get added to that. So that was
really cool. I like their little testimonials they have on the homepage. One's a tweet from a guy who says, I swear Code Wars is better than college. And another tweet, a message that says, I forgot to eat dinner because I was on Code Wars. This is addictive.
Yeah, and it is.
Those are quality testimonials.
That's some pretty cool things. So, so basically this month, January, we want people just to do those two things. And then if you see some tweets coming out from us, please just, retweet them as well. So I'll put this in the chat up here for everyone watching, and it'll be in the show notes as well. But if you guys can, you guys can do that, hopefully we can get it added to that. And then if that doesn't work, then we've got some other options going forward too. Like I said, me and Michael are going to build a little app. So it's going to be basically a little ColdBox app. It's going to have TestBox installed in it. It's going to have a set of tests. And we're going to have a model CFC in it. And so you basically can do a ForgeBox install and then install that module we're going to build. And then inside the models folder, there'll be a CFC for the week. So it'll be like, challenge, CFML challenge February 2020 or whatnot. And so inside there will be an open function. And then you have to basically get the test to pass. So you'll run the test using TestBox. And then
you're basically describing how Exorcism works.
Yep,
they have their own CLI, and you like run a command that like pulls down the next problem. It dumps in like the model and the test and the description, and the test runner is all built into it.
Yep, but I just thought if we had it as a module later on, if someone wants to like get up and running with ColdFusion, they can just download this module and then basically go in there and work through just a code kata style and do that. So obviously it'd be great to have it on Code Wars, so we're going to add friends and you can see everyone's progress and see solutions and everything. But at worst case, me and Michael are going to build this little sample app, and that way people get to see, oh, this is a ColdBox app. Here's the tests. This is how they wrote the tests. Here's the CFCs and models. This is how it runs, and we'll I thought it'd be kind of cool that we can add some integrations into the little module too. So when you're done with your test, you can run a command to create a gist on your GitHub account and then tweet about it saying you're finished. And that way people can go check out the gist and check out your code and see. So that's what me and Michael are going to try and create in our live coding sessions over the next few weeks. So hopefully in February we can do that. What?
I'm just correcting your grammar over here. I said Michael and I.
Yeah.
So I'm digging this Code Wars little site. I clicked the little like sign up, and it pops up a little screen that says, choose a language. And as I clicked JavaScript, and it said, here's some code that doesn't execute. Try to figure out why. And it was just a function that was missing the return statement. And so I added in the return and clicked submit, and it showed the test passing. It was like, okay, you passed the initiation, and then it gives me the little thing to sign up. That's a pretty cool little thing. And it's also cleverly like a CAPTCHA at the same time. Robots wouldn't be able to get past that. I like that. I wonder if they give you the same little thing every time.
I thought I saw the same one when I was looking through today before I clicked sign in, but it's pretty cool. And like I said, I like Code Wars. I think it'd be good to get it added there, and then we can have a sort of a community thing. And so if you guys can help us, just bug them a little bit.
Code Wars guys let you help add languages.
Because I think they must have a system, because the same question is added in like 17 different languages. So the same questions you could just add the language. So if it's done that way, there's got to be some UI for it. I'm sure there's some config we'll have to do to help get command
The
box
problem
CLI
with sites that just create their own content is they never want to screw with languages like ColdFusion if they don't think there's a demand for it.
Have you seen how many languages listed there? There's a lot, and there's some ones in there I was like, what the hell?
They have quite a few, and then they have additional languages that are currently in beta, which is interesting. Objective-C, Lua, OCaml, Scala, Kotlin, Groovy, Ethereum. Is Ethereum even a language? I thought that was a blockchain Bitcoin thing or something.
That's what I'm saying. There's some weird stuff in there.
Erlang, R, Nim, BF. Come on, people. Like, ColdFusion is more freaking popular than like half of these.
That's what I'm saying. So let's make a little noise, bug them a little bit, and then hopefully then they see my email, and I'll email them again. We'll try and get us added to Code Wars, and then we can have a little leaderboard, and we could, do it that way, and we can go and see who's got a solution. And for hopefully in the future months, maybe that's something we can do. We'll just go look at the question of the month, go see who solved it, and check out their solutions. And as long as it's not terrible, we'll pick it. So can other people see the solutions? For the Code Wars stuff, you can just click the solution on it without doing it, but obviously that's cheating.
Okay,
but yeah,
I mean, I was thinking what I like about this kind of stuff is it can also kind of work as a public showcase of modern CFML, which is largely why I'd put a bunch of work into the exorcism stuff. Is because I wanted to have people come look at it, and they see not a tag in sight. It's all script, it's all CLI, it's all like, oh wow, this is what ColdFusion looks like, and you're like, yeah.
So I need to look at the exorcism stuff. I know you've done it. I had a quick look, but obviously not well enough. But this is a good UI in the browser. You don't need any special tools to do it. Everything runs in it, so it's pretty neat. So that's the coding challenge for the month. What we're going to do is randomly pick one person out of all the people who do those three things. So
you have to do all three of them.
Yep. So email them, tweet yourself, and then just retweet from other people. So I already sent out my first tweet for the day. So if you guys see it, I did. It does have Modernize or Die and ColdFusion and CFML in the hashtag, so you should be able to see it and retweet it. But then also tweet it yourself, and then email them too. Just say, hey, we really want CFML in there.
How long ago did you send this tweet?
So, anyways,
I don't see your tweet.
You don't see it? Maybe it got blocked. I don't know.
I'm looking at my Hootsuite list that filters on anything with the word ColdFusion.
Well, CFML jobs. We have quite a few jobs posted this last week. I guess everyone's back in the office trying to get some people in their team. So we have 22 positions available on getcfmljobs.com from 20 companies, 15 locations in 5 countries.
Holy cow, that jumped up.
Yep. So there's a full-time ColdFusion software developer for Zakaya Technologies in La Plata, MD. And so they're looking for 3 ColdFusion developers. So they want 7+ years of ColdFusion, Oracle, SQL, etc.
Is La Plata Spanish for the Plata?
I'm not sure.
Asking for a friend.
Don't ask the foreigner. We don't even have Mexican food over there, dude. barely can
in
find
New Zealand.
Yeah, well, actually, you know what? They do have some tortilla chips now, and they have some tortillas and tacos stuff. But it's hard, man. I made some enchiladas and stuff, but it was hard to find the ingredients. And went to a couple Mexican restaurants. They're okay, but not great.
Go to New Zealand for hot Mexican food. That's what we're saying.
No, go get meat pies, fish and chips. That's what you need to get. But
and
lamb. But
there's also software engineer. Oh, we mentioned this one the other day. The Webstaurant store.
Yep.
It's like web and restaurant had a baby, and it was the Webstaurant store, Tampa, Florida.
Yep. So looking for ColdFusion version 9 plus experience, multiple on-site openings apparently. So go check that one out if you're in the area. And then there's a senior developer for US Max Corporation in National, West Virginia. 7+ years ColdFusion, Oracle, DB, etc.
For a second, I thought it said ColdFusion 7+, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
no, 7+ years.
Yep. So
anyone with 27 years experience can get in the door.
Sounds great. There's also a couple positions in India too. So a junior software developer, ColdFusion developer for isolation technologies in Ahmedabad, Gujarat, India.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I mean, neither. And then senior developer.
Ahmedabad.
Yeah, Hyderabad. So there's a senior developer position for Neovatic Technologies Private Limited in Hyderabad, Telangana, India. Sorry, guys, I'm terrible with geography.
Yeah, we assume if you're from there, you know how to say that stuff, so you can find it.
Yeah. Again, all those 5 jobs are listed up on getcfmljobs.com, and they're on Twitter as well.
Good stuff.
Cool. So let's talk about the ForgeBox module of the week, and this one's one from Sam Knowlton. He's in the spotlight today.
You just put this one out.
Yes, this is a brand new one. It's the WkHTML-to-PDF module, and so it's a CFML ColdBox wrapper for the WkHTML-to-PDF Docker image. And so Brian, is it Girardelli? I always get it. I always say his name wrong. Sorry about that, Brian. But from Motorsports Ridge, they've got the Docker WkHTML to PDF service, and so if you have that running,
I didn't catch that he was the one who had created that.
Well, he forked it, and made some changes to it, but yeah. So their motorsport site does a lot of traffic, a lot of great work there.
What was Brian's blog? Always had a picture of like an orange race car. What was his blog back in the day?
Not sure, but I mean, yeah, he used to speak at CF Objective. That's where I met him and everything. And but anyway, so he created the fork of that Docker service, and then Sam and them have basically built this wrapper for ColdBox, because as it states in the description, after years of wrestling with CF Document from Adobe and Lucy, we centralize our convert this to PDF functions using a WkHTML to PDF Docker container based on this repo. So the module does is provide a friendly interface to the API for that service. The module does not contain the utility or any conversion by itself. You have to be running that as a service to do any good. But it's brand new.
Yeah,
it's uploaded just a couple of days ago. They've only got a few installs so far, but they're using it. And Sam Knowlton works for they got a couple of products, and one of them is InLeague, which is their sporting platform. They do a lot of work with the soccer, AYSO and stuff, but they also have a registration app for private schooling systems in New York. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure they have a lot of things there.
I think the important note is that it doesn't wrap the PDF service itself, because the WkHTML to PDF isn't a Java-based library. I think it might actually run Node or something. It's some
probably Node
separate thing. So the thing is, like, if you're running Adobe ColdFusion and you're wanting to use the CF HTML to PDF tag, you already have to install the HTML to PDF service as like a separate service in a separate Docker container. Mm-hmm. So this assumes you can just deploy this nice little Docker container, and then it's a ColdFusion based wrapper for it. But what's nice is Sam says. Mm-hmm. What's nice is I asked Sam in Slack. I said, can you scale the PDF service? And he said, yeah. So if you deploy a Docker service this, got one or more of these Docker containers, you can scale that up as much as you want, and then you just point your code to the the ingress network of whatever that Docker service is. So it gives you a lot of flexibility, and you can have the exact same thing between Adobe or Lucy. So it's kind of a cool little service. I like that.
Yeah, and a lot of people, when they move from Adobe over to Lucy, they don't like the differences. And I know we have the Otis commercial extension for the PDF functionality, which a lot of people are using, and that does cover a lot of the gaps. But this is something else out there that's pretty good. And yeah,
so what Sam had also mentioned is this lets you shrink down the size of your Cold Fusion containers. Because he's saying right now in the chat, they have like 14 to 15 CFML containers, and every single one of those containers has the Lucy engine, including all the extensions and the PDF extension. So they're able to strip the PDF extension out of all their CFML containers and just extract it and push it off to the side of these separate PDF containers that are just dedicated to the PDF tasks.
And he says he's got one 300 meg container that he runs for all 15 CFML engines. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And Scott did also mention that he's worked with WkHTML before, and he says it has hard time with numbers, but he recommends Flying Saucer. It's pretty good too.
See, Flying Saucer is what Lucy has now, which is Java based.
Yeah, and Sam responded, Flying Saucer is pretty good, but choked on some conversions from a third-party provider when we had no control over the source or whatever. And he says, so there's some out there, but this is a cool solution. A nice wrapper is already built for you. The Docker service is already there. So if you guys are looking for something, definitely try it out. This is a nice module to get up and running with it. So.
Yep. Yeah, because Sam just mentioned they're using Lucy Lite for their containers right now. So Lucy Lite is Lucy with 0 extensions, and then they just piecemeal add back in only the extensions they need, as opposed to starting with the full, Lucy set of extensions and then trying to pull out the ones you don't need. So,
yeah, and they're saying that the one 300 meg container for WkHTML to PDF is pretty cool. Obviously, CFML containers are not that small.
No, they're not.
But yeah, but much smaller since you had
bigger's better, right? Not when it comes to Docker.
Yep, exactly. So that's pretty cool. So I saw that, and actually Andrew Davis zapped me that one in the link. So check this out.
Zap.
So pretty cool. So next on our list, we have our VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week. And so this one's a pretty cool little extension. It's called Surround. So what this allows you to do is to select code in your template, and basically using snippet style setup, wrap stuff around them. So if you got a bit of code and you want to comment it out, you can obviously use the shortcut to comment it, but this will allow you to set a comment. Or maybe you want to put a try catch around something. You can just say, do your shortcut to bring up your power menu in VS Code, and you can say wrap it in an if else or a try catch, or if you want to do an array.each or an item.each or whatever. There's all these different shortcuts. And
so what languages does it support? Because I'm looking at their little animated GIF here. And the example, they're editing a JavaScript file, and it's all JavaScript-specific syntaxes.
Yeah, so I'm not sure about that, but I noticed that most of the functions were pretty good for Cold Fusion, because obviously scripts for JavaScript and Cold Fusion script is pretty close. So I don't know, but it says it's fully customizable. So I'm not sure if that means you can, edit the existing ones and tell it what you want, give it new names. So you might
it looks like it is. I'm looking at some of these examples here. So you provide the snippet, and then you can say insert the selected text right in here.
Yeah. So I was thinking that would be pretty neat for, if we wanted to make one for test box, you could add some test box ones. You could wrap stuff and describe blocks or whatever, and, all that type of stuff.
Luis has some stuff in the VS Code test box extension that will insert a BDD spec or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if it handles things like you select text and say, wrap this.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm thinking it'd be good for a lot of different stuff. We could add a few of those in there just to be convenient, but just, try catches and stuff.
Somebody needs to make a CFML version of this.
Yeah, and it just looked really neat, so I thought I would share it with everybody. So it's got almost 18,000 installs, so it's not a hugely popular one, but it's pretty neat.
It only has 18,000. It's a pile of crap. I wouldn't even use it. 18,000.
Well, some of the other ones that we've shared have just I mean, like millions.
I know, and that therein lies the joke.
Yeah.
The fact that 18,000 installs is considered a small number when it comes to...
If it was a CFML plugin and it had more than
PS2.
18, it would be huge.
I know, like, this one has 27 installs.
Pretty crazy. But yeah, so that's the VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week. Again, nice little thing. It's called Surround, and I will share the link since Brad probably can't copy paste right now.
Oh, I switched over to the Ortus user so I could copy and paste.
Oh.
By the way, something Scott Steinbeck said earlier, I had to moderate it because YouTube withheld it.
Oh, that's right.
There wasn't even a link in it.
No, he was just talking about that Flying Saucer could do something where, you know, the
Plot twist. YouTube has arrangements with certain PDF libraries to censor live stream chat comments about libraries that they don't want to push.
Crazy. Crazy.
Well, we're at the end of the show notes, Gavin. Does that mean we have to stop?
Well, we got to thank our Patreon supporters because without them, we wouldn't be able to do all the cool things we're doing with ForgeBox.
The more you support us, the more we make fun of you in the podcast. It's true.
Exactly. So, thankfully, with all this support, we're doing, you know, good things with CommandBox and ForgeBox, and we get to share that with everybody. And 100% of your sponsorship for that goes towards our open source project. So that pays for Brad to play with CommandBox. I mean, work on CommandBox.
Yeah, I mean, did I say play?
So thank you, Andrew Davis, Brian White, Calvin Stedden, Dali, Dan Card, Daniel Garcia, David Bellinger, Didia Lesnicki, Don Bellamy, Eric Hoffman, Gary Knight, Jan Yannick, Jeremy Adams, John Farrar, Jordan Clark, Joseph Lamery, Laxma Tirahadi, Matthew Clemente, Richard Herbert, Samuel Knowlton, Scott Steinbeck, VJ, and Yogesh Methur. Again, we really appreciate all your help. If you'd like to become a Patreon sponsor, you can go to autosolutions.com/aboutus/sponsors, and then you can look at how to sponsor us there. But
what if we did the Patreon supporters in like the movie guy trailer voice, you know? In a world where no Patreon supporters exist. I don't know, just every week we could mix it up. Starring Scott Steinbeck, Yogesh Mathur. We'd hire someone to come in and do them. Who was the guy who did like the Halo headshot voices? Idea. I thought it was some like old dude who did that.
We should try and get the.
We'll work on that. We'll have that in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we could always get was it this guy who did the?
Oh,
CF
James
Hour.
Allen used to do the intro for CF Hour.
Yeah, James.
You're
Allen.
listening to CF Hour.
Yeah,
I don't know. I can't really do the James Allen, but
I know weird accents.
We have enough talent in the CFML community. We can make it happen.
Yeah, I know. We can get someone to re-record the intro and outro too, so you don't have to hear me talking the whole time.
Your names and silly accents.
Yeah. Pretty good. So one other comment real quick before we go. So it looks like Adrian was asking about if the WkHTMLtoPDF can support JavaScript and stuff. And so basically Sam said you give HTML either raw HTML or URL and it executes it, but he doesn't think it executes the JavaScript though. That's a good question. The module doesn't care about that stuff. It's all up to that. I know Scott's done a lot of stuff with mapping, and mapping requires JavaScript to be fully rendered before doing that. So I'm sure he's got something to say about that. But I'm sure there's a setting in the WkHTML on how much time you give it. But a lot of those ones are pretty smart.
I need to know what the WK stands for. Gotta be an explanation for this. Also, I really want to know: does HTML to PDF solve world hunger? Just I'm gonna throw that one out there.
If it prints money, yes.
No, it just causes inflation. Oh, come on, people! I'm gonna have to go to the Wikipedia page. Wikipedia always has answers for this kind of stuff.
Yep. So as Scott mentioned, Puppeteer does. Puppeteer is a pretty cool service too that handles JavaScript and stuff. But anyways. Cool. So I guess there's a JavaScript delay you can use if you want to wait so long for JavaScript to function, and you can also do enable JavaScript for that too. So that's what Adrian's found out. But yeah,
WebKit. I think WK might stand for WebKit.
Oh, that makes sense because it's using the Chrome WebKit underneath, probably headless Chrome. To do
the
it.
WK and WkHTMLPDF stands for WebKit, which is the browser engine used to render the HTML and JavaScript. There you go.
There we go. We learned something today.
The more you know.
But yeah, end of the day, as Scott says, PDF generation sucks. These tools are making it better, so definitely try them out. So
Scott and I battled a lot of PDF generation. We made the command box CLI, the module to export a PDF into, a Git book into a PDF. He did all the crazy stuff with page numbers, which we worked around a bunch of Lucy bugs by using some really cool CSS hacks that Flying Saucer supported. I didn't even know you could do like page numbers with CSS. It's pretty cool stuff.
That sounds pretty cool. Yeah, that's another good extension.
We did stuff I didn't even know I say we, Scott did stuff I didn't even know was possible. Like in our Git book exporter that we made, we have like a table of contents that says, like this chapter starts on this page number. And he does some like crazy wicked CSS nonsense that like figures out what page a certain, header tag is on, and it like injects it in the table of contents. It's pretty interesting stuff. Cool. Yeah.
Yep. Scott solves some pretty cool problems. A smart guy. So, yep.
But don't say it out loud. He'll get a big head.
That's okay. He's not listening anymore. I already booted him from the channel.
We'll just massacre his name with a funny accent next week to bring him back down to size.
Anyway, so
Steinbeck.
So yep. So that's the first episode of 2020 in the bag. So happy New Year, everybody. Good luck for 2020, and we'll see you next week.
Adios.
Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernize.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.